broadcasting live this week, January 7th, 2024. This week, we are going to continue our college basketball live stream regarding the top 25 teams in college men and women's basketball. Can y'all hear me out there in YouTube land? Before getting into what we're going to do today, we're going to go over the Associated Press top 25 poll this week for college basketball. We'll start with the women. For the AP poll for the top 25 this week for women, number 1, UCLA, number 2, South Carolina, number 3, Notre Dame, number 4, USC, number 5, Texas, number 6, LSU, number 7, UConn, number 8, Maryland, number 9, Ohio State, number 10, Oklahoma, number 11, TCU, number 12, Kansas State, number 13, Georgia Tech, number 14, Duke, number 15, Kentucky, number 16, Tennessee, number 17, West Virginia, number 18, Alabama, number 19, North Carolina, number 20, Michigan State, number 21, North Carolina State, number 22, Utah, number 23, Iowa, number 24, California, number 25, Michigan. Next we have is the men's college basketball AP poll top 25. And you have number 1, Tennessee, number 2, Auburn, number 3, Iowa State, number 4, Duke, number 5, Alabama, number 6, Kentucky, number 7, Marquette, number 8, Florida, number 9, UConn, number 10, Texas A&M, number 11, Kansas, number 12, Houston, number 13, Illinois, number 14, Mississippi State, number 15, Oregon, number 16, Michigan State, number 17, Oklahoma, number 18, Gonzaga, number 19, Memphis, number 20, Purdue, number 21, West Virginia, number 22, UCLA, number 23, Ole Miss, number 24, Michigan, number 25, Utah State. Before getting into the top 25 matchups for this week, let's review from last week. Of the games we picked for the AP poll top 25 games for Division I college basketball, for games that were played on January 4th of 2025, there were 4 games in the women's top 25 action, and of those 4 games, we got all 4 correct in making the picks. For the men's action, there were 13 games total, and we made picks for those, and we were right on 11 out of the 13 games. So, looking at the women's top 25 matchups, these games in question today are we're going to go over just for Saturday, January 11th of 2025. In the women's matchups, it will be number 25, Michigan versus Purdue, number 8, Maryland versus Wisconsin, number 17, West Virginia versus Oklahoma State, number 7, UConn versus Georgetown, number 12, Kansas State versus BYU, and number 11, TCU versus Texas Tech. For the men, the top 25 matchups will be as follows. Number 4, Duke versus Notre Dame. Number 13, Illinois versus USC. Number 2, Auburn versus South Carolina. Number 3, Iowa State versus Texas Tech. Number 9, UConn versus Georgetown. Number 11, Kansas versus Cincinnati. Number 8, Florida versus Arkansas. Number 1, Tennessee versus Texas. Number 12, Houston versus Kansas State. Number 17, Oklahoma versus Georgia. Number 23, Ole Miss versus LSU. We got number 5, Alabama versus number 10, Texas A&M. You have number 6, Kentucky versus number 14, Mississippi State. Number 18, Gonzaga versus Washington State. Number 25, Utah State versus Boise State. So now, here comes the fun part. We're going to go back through these matchups, and I'm just going to basically name who's playing. What your job is today is to pick who is going to win the game. We're going to make these picks and do it as a joint effort, so that way we can all have fun in doing this together. I may or may not agree with any of what we pick as a team, but we're going to do this and have some real fun. So let's get into this. The first game we're going to be making a is in the women, and it will be Michigan versus Purdue. Who do y'all have? Michigan or Purdue? Anybody? Okay, so, yeah, what we're doing is we've already looked at the top 25, the AP poll top 25 for the men and the women. We've also looked at who their matchups are going to be playing for January 11th. So what I'm going to do is, it doesn't matter if you know anything about the team or not. Basically, when the team, when the game is played, you make the pick on who you think is going to win the game, and it doesn't matter if you know anything about the team or not. So that's how we're going to do that. We're going to first do it with the women's games that are ranked within the top 25 that will take place January 11th of 2025. And then after we do the women's games, we'll do the men's games. So with that, let's get into this. We have Michigan versus Purdue. Who do you have in winning that game? Anybody? Michigan versus Purdue. All right, well, in this situation, since nobody's responding, I'm going to go ahead and make the pick. I have Michigan to beat Purdue. All right, the next game we're going to look at today is Maryland or Wisconsin. Who do you have winning the game? Okay, so we have one pick for Michigan, one for Purdue. Okay, we'll go, and I'm going to go with Michigan on that one because I get to cast the deciding vote since nobody else voted. So we'll move on to the next game, and whatever you say is going to be the pick for that one. So Maryland or Wisconsin, who do you have? Maryland or Wisconsin? Anybody? Maryland or Wisconsin, who do y'all have? All right, nobody's responding, so we are going to go Maryland on that one. Next game we have in the women's action will be West Virginia or Oklahoma State. West Virginia or Oklahoma State, who do you have picking to win this one? Anybody? All right, since nobody's responding on that one, we will go West Virginia on that game. Next game we're going to look at right now is going to be UConn or Connecticut versus Georgetown. UConn or Georgetown, who do you have? Anybody? UConn or Georgetown? Okay, nobody's responding on that one, so we're going to go UConn. Next game we're going to look at is Kansas State or Brigham Young. Kansas State or Brigham Young, who do you have? This is for women's basketball. Okay, so we got 2 votes for UConn. So in that game, we're going to go UConn over Georgetown. Next game is Kansas State or Brigham Young. Kansas State or Brigham Young or BYU. So Kansas State or BYU. Right now, my vote is for Kansas State. And it looks like that's what the one we'll go with on that one. Last game of the women's game will be TCU or Texas Tech. TCU or Texas Tech. All right, nobody's responded on that one, so we're going to go TCU. That concludes the women's picks. We will now go in the top 25 matchups for the men. It'll be Duke or Notre Dame. Duke or Notre Dame, who do you have? Duke or Notre Dame, men's basketball. Anybody? Since nobody's responded on that one, I'm going to go with Duke. Next game we're going to look at is Illinois or USC. Illinois or USC. I'm going with Illinois on that one since nobody is responding on that one. Next one we'll look at is Auburn or South Carolina. Auburn or South Carolina. Who do you have for picking the game? Auburn or South Carolina? Okay, nobody's responding on that one, so I'm going to go Auburn over South Carolina. Next game we have is Iowa State versus Texas Tech. Iowa State or Texas Tech? Who do you have? Okay. Nobody's responding on that one, so Iowa State it is. Next game we're going to go with is also UConn versus Georgetown. Apparently both the men and the women will be playing each other on the same day. So UConn or Georgetown for the men. All right, nobody's responded on that one, so we're going to go UConn. Next game we have is Kansas versus Cincinnati. Kansas versus Cincinnati. Who do we have? Anybody. And you don't have to know any of these teams. You can just make a guess. I would love to see your comments and your thoughts in the chat. But it doesn't matter if you know about them or not. Just have a team you pick. So in the Kansas versus Cincinnati game, nobody is responding. I'm going to go with Kansas on that one. Next game we're going to look at is Florida versus Arkansas. Florida versus Arkansas. Who do you have? All right. Well, nobody's responding on that one, so I am actually going to throw a monkey wrench in there in the deal, and I'm going to go with Arkansas. I think Arkansas is going to beat Florida this go around, so we shall see on that. All right. Next game we'll look at is Tennessee or Texas. Tennessee or Texas. Who do you have? Anybody? Tennessee or Texas? All right, it looks like nobody's responding on this one, so I will have Tennessee. Next game we'll look at is Houston versus Kansas State. Houston or Kansas State? Who do you have? All right, nobody's responding on that one, so I'm going to make the pick will be Houston defeating Kansas State. The next game we have is Oklahoma versus Georgia. Oklahoma versus Georgia. No, this is not football. This is college basketball for the men. We know what the result was when Oklahoma played Georgia earlier in the season, so in football, but this is for men's college basketball. All right, nobody's making a comment on that, so I'm going to go Oklahoma will beat Georgia on that one. Next game is Ole Miss or LSU. Ole Miss or LSU. Anybody? Ole Miss or LSU? Ole Miss or LSU? I'm going to go Ole Miss on this one since nobody's making a guess on that. So next game we're going to look at will be Alabama or Texas A&M. Alabama or Texas A&M, and you got to keep in mind this is men's college basketball we're talking about. So who do you have? Anybody? Since nobody's responding on this one, I'm also going to go Alabama on that one. I think Alabama will defeat Texas A&M. Next game we're going to look at is Kentucky versus Mississippi State. Kentucky or Mississippi State? Who do y'all have? Anybody? Kentucky or Mississippi State? Well, I guess nobody's going to respond on that one. I'm going to go Kentucky on that game. The next game we're going to look at is Gonzaga or Washington State. Gonzaga or Washington State. Anybody? All right, well, since nobody's going to make a pick on that one, I'm going to go Washington State. I think Gonzaga has had a little bit of scariness happen recently, and that's going to affect them in this game because of the nature of how they got scared witless the other day. I'm not going to get into what was causing that because that's a separate issue. But anyway, the last of the men's games we will look at today is Utah State or Boise State. Utah State or Boise State. Who do y'all have? Anybody? Utah State or Boise State? So I guess nobody's responded on that one. We will go Utah State. So just as a quick review, in the women, we made the pick Michigan versus Purdue, and we picked Michigan to beat Purdue. In the women game again, it was Maryland versus Wisconsin. We went Maryland. Let's see. For the West Virginia-Oklahoma State game, we went West Virginia. For the UConn versus Georgetown, we went UConn. For the Kansas State-BYU game, we went Kansas State. For TCU and Texas Tech, we went TCU. In the men's action, it was Duke versus Notre Dame. We went Duke. Illinois versus USC. We went Illinois. Auburn versus South Carolina. We went Auburn. Let's see. Iowa State versus Texas Tech. We went Iowa State. UConn versus Georgetown in the men. We went UConn. Kansas versus Cincinnati. We went Kansas. Florida versus Arkansas, we went Arkansas. Tennessee versus Texas, we went Tennessee. Houston versus Kansas State, we went Houston. Oklahoma versus Georgia, we went Georgia. Let's see. Ole Miss versus LSU, we went Ole Miss. Alabama versus Texas A&M, we went Alabama. Kentucky versus Mississippi State, we went Kentucky. Gonzaga versus Washington State, we went Washington State. And for the Utah State versus Boise State, we went Utah State. So, one last time, we will go over who the AP poll top 25 teams are for the women and for the men. Number one in the women, number 1, UCLA. Number 2, South Carolina. Number 3, Notre Dame. Number 4, USC. Number 5, Texas. Number 6, LSU. Number 7, UConn. Number 8, Maryland. Number 9, Ohio State. Number 10, Oklahoma. Number 11, TCU. Number 12, Kansas State. Number 13, Georgia Tech. Number 14, Duke. Number 15, Kentucky. Number 16, Tennessee. Number 17, West Virginia. Number 18, Alabama. Number 19, North Carolina. Number 20, Michigan State. Number 21, North Carolina State or NC State. Number 22, Utah. Number 23, Iowa. Number 24, California. Number 25, Michigan. In the men's AP poll top 25, we have number 1, Tennessee. Number 2, Auburn. Number 3, Iowa State. Number 4, Duke. Number 5, Alabama. Number 6, Kentucky. Number 7, Marquette. Number 8, Florida. Number 9, UConn. Number 10, Texas A&M. Number 11, Kansas. Number 12, Houston. Number 13, Illinois. Number 14, Mississippi State. Number 15, Oregon. Number 16, Michigan State. Number 17, Oklahoma. Number 18, Gonzaga. Number 19, Memphis. Number 20, Purdue. Number 21, West Virginia. Number 22, UCLA. Number 23, Ole Miss. Number 24, Michigan. And number 25 is Utah State. That'll do it for the college basketball picks for the games that are scheduled to be played on January 11th of 2025, we will do these live streams once a week through college basketball season, going over who's in the AP poll top 25, but for the men and for the women. We will also go over who the matchups will be for the top 25 matchups for that week for the games that's in question. We'll also do a group pick like we kind of did today. I was hoping for more response than what I got, but that's okay. Maybe we'll grow with this as time goes on. We will be continuing to do these live streams once a week on Tuesdays through the rest of the regular basketball season, and the last one will take place 1 week before the end of the regular college basketball season, and I'll let you know when that gets a little closer. Anyway, thank you again for taking time to hear how this is going in this live stream regarding college basketball picks. I do greatly thank you for that, and yes, I am broadcasting live, and I do greatly appreciate it. If you wish to subscribe, please do so. Every bit helps. You can go to www.youtube.com/@sportslov. That's my direct page on YouTube. The easiest way to find me outside of that is to go to the YouTube search tab and type in Bob Amin, Bobamin. You'll know it's me because I have Sports Love Media burned onto a basketball as an avatar for my page. Also, you can find me on Twitter. My handle is at BobAmin16. Again, the Twitter handle, BobAmin16 with the @ symbol before that. Anyway, does anybody have any questions, comments regarding how we do this live stream regarding college basketball? Anybody? One thing that I will make an announcement about, we may have a special college football live stream coming up very soon. Once we know for sure who is playing for the national championship game for Division I college football, we will have a special college football live stream that will go in relation to that. So outside of that special one coming up, once we know who the national championship is, you can join me live on Sports Love Media at various times. I'll let you know when we do special live streams or the scheduled ones. Thank you again for taking the time to, listen today, and I do greatly appreciate it. If you will, please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the notification bell so you can be made aware of when I do these live streams, when I have sports action videos, when I have sports education videos, when I broadcast live, or when I have breaking news in the sports world. Thank you again, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.